On a crisp autumn day, 8-year-old Emma walked home from school with her backpack bouncing rhythmically against her small frame. The leaves crunched under her feet as she clutched a brown paper bag holding her favorite peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She always looked forward to the last part of her walk, where she passed the old oak tree and saw the familiar sights of her neighborhood. Today, however, something different caught her eye. Just beyond the oak tree, sitting on a worn-out blanket, was a man she hadn't seen before. His clothes were tattered, his hair unkempt, and his eyes looked tired and distant. Emma's mother had always taught her to be kind to those in need, so she walked over to the man without hesitation. "Hi," she said, her voice gentle and caring. "Are you hungry?" The man looked up, startled by the small voice. His eyes softened as he nodded, his voice barely a whisper. "Yes, I am." Emma handed him her sandwich. "Here, you can have this." The man took the sandwich, tears welling up in his eyes. "Thank you, little one. You have no idea how much this means to me." Emma smiled brightly. "You're welcome. My name's Emma. What's yours?" He hesitated before answering. "I'm David." "Thank you, Emma. You've made my day." With a wave and a cheerful goodbye, Emma continued her walk home, her heart warm from the exchange. The next morning, Emma awoke to an unusual sound. A loud, rhythmic thumping seemed to fill the air. She rushed to her window and saw a helicopter hovering over her house. Its presence was so out of place in her quiet suburban neighborhood that she couldn't believe her eyes. "Mom! Dad! Come quick!" she shouted. Her parents rushed into her room, equally bewildered by the sight. The helicopter slowly descended to a nearby field, and a well-dressed man stepped out, accompanied by a small entourage. Emma's family hurried outside, joining curious neighbors who had also come to see what was happening. The man from the helicopter approached Emma's family, a kind smile on his face. "Good morning," he greeted. "Is there a young girl named Emma here?" Emma stepped forward, clutching her mother's hand. "I'm Emma." The man knelt to her level. "Emma, my name is Mr. Turner. I'm here because of something wonderful you did yesterday." Emma's brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean? You gave your sandwich to a man named David, didn't you?" Emma nodded slowly, still not understanding. Mr. Turner smiled warmly. "David is a friend of mine. You see, Emma, he used to be a very successful businessman, but he fell on hard times and ended up on the streets. When you gave him your sandwich, it wasn't just food you gave him hope." Emma's parents exchanged astonished looks as Mr. Turner continued. "David was so moved by your kindness that he reached out to me. He wants to turn his life around, and your simple act of generosity inspired him to take the first step. He wanted to thank you personally, but since he couldn't, he asked me to come on his behalf." Mr. Turner gestured to the helicopter. "David has connections, and he managed to pull some strings. We want to do something special for you and your family. How would you like to go for a ride in the helicopter?" Emma's eyes widened with excitement. "Really? That sounds amazing." Her parents, though still in shock, nodded their approval. Emma and her parents boarded the helicopter, marveling at the sleek interior. As they soared into the sky, Emma gazed out the window, her neighborhood growing smaller and smaller beneath them. Mr. Turner pointed out landmarks and shared stories about the city from above, making the experience unforgettable. During the flight, Mr. Turner handed Emma a letter. "This is from David. He wanted you to have it." Emma opened the letter and read aloud. "Dear Emma, your kindness changed my life. When you offered me that sandwich, you gave me more than food. You gave me hope and reminded me of the goodness in people. I promise to pay forward your kindness and help others as you helped me. With heartfelt gratitude, David." Tears filled Emma's eyes as she finished reading. She clutched the letter to her chest, feeling a profound sense of happiness and pride. The helicopter landed back in the field, and Emma's family returned home, forever changed by the experience. News of Emma's kindness and the helicopter visit spread through the neighborhood, inspiring others to perform their own acts of generosity. David, true to his word, began volunteering at shelters and working with organizations to help those in need. He often shared the story of the little girl who gave him a sandwich, igniting a chain of kindness that reached far beyond their small town. Emma learned that even the smallest acts of kindness can have a tremendous impact. Her simple gesture had not only transformed David's life, but had also created a ripple effect, spreading hope and compassion to many others. Years later, Emma often reflected on that fateful day. She continued to be a beacon of kindness, always looking for ways to help others. Her story became a cherished tale in her community, a reminder of the power of compassion and the extraordinary things that can happen when we care for one another. And every time she saw a helicopter in the sky, Emma smiled, remembering the incredible journey that began with a simple sandwich and a heart full of kindness.